Hi there. I just want to talk you through a topic that seems to be causing a little bit of confusion or lack of clarity when it comes to referencing in relation to your pharmacy projects, but it also applies to other work you might be referencing as well. And it's where you've read an article online and then you want to reference it. So I'm going to give you a demonstration by assuming that I've written an article. I'm going to use fold CPR as a topic. We'll assume I've written all the content, I've finished the article, and I want to go back and add in my references. So we'll assume I've cited some articles in the content and now I want to go and put in the reference. So I'm going to assume I read an article from the Merck Vet Manual, which is one that a lot of you use. So what I want to do first of all is find the section. So in relation to CPR, that's covered in emergency medicine and critical care. So I click on that link and wait for the page to load. And then I want to go down to the bottom where there's a section on equine emergency. And here we have our neonatal intensive care emergencies and folds. That's where CPR is. So we're going to assume that I want the section on dystocia and resuscitation. We'll assume I've cited some of this content in my article. Okay, who wrote this? So Merck Vet Manual is the publisher and it's their website the content is available on. But if I look at the top of the article, I can see here it was actually written by Amelia S. Munsterman and J.T. Vaughan, who both work in the Auburn University Large Animal Teaching Hospital. So what I want to do is use that as a reference. So I'm going to go back to my article. I also want to refer to my DkIT Guide to Harvard Referencing, so I've got a copy of that open here. Go down through it. I want the contents and I want to set, this is my referencing and citing guidelines. These are books. If I go on to page 5, I'll find here section 4.2.2, a journal or magazine article that I've read on a website or library database. That's on page 14. So I click on that, I get brought to the relevant section. So here's my journal or magazine article from the web. And here's my example of how to reference it. So you can see here I start off with the author's surname, initials, full stop, and then the year of publication. So let's go back to my Word document, and I also want to look at the name of the author. So it's going to be Munsterman, and her first name is Amelia S, so that's going to be A.S. Then an open bracket, what year was this published in? If I go down to the bottom of the page, it should tell me when it was last updated or edited. Okay. So we can see this is the Merck Vet Manual website. And it's not giving me a date. Sometimes they'll have at the bottom when it was last written or referred to. In that case, I can either put in an ND or I can put in the current year. I don't have a date here, so I'm going to go with ND. Again, trying to be as accurate as possible. So ND for no date. If I refer back, so now I have my author, surname, initials, and year of publication. However, I know there's two authors on this article. So as well as Munsterman, who is the first author, I also need to include the second author. So that was Vaughan J.T. Okay, and Vaughan J.T. No date. Okay, and go back to my Harvard referencing and check. So far I've put in the author, surname and initials followed by a full stop and a space, year of publication, full stop, space, title of the article in normal font. So here's my article and it's called Neonatal Intensive Care and Emergencies in Foals. So that's what I'm going to use. So it's Neonatal Intensive Care and Emergencies in Foals. In terms of capital letters, I want to make it the same as the authors wrote it, so you can see that the and the I have small letters to begin them. Everything else has a capital letter at the start, so I'm going to keep it the same. Okay, right. Next thing I want to check is after the title, what goes in next? The title of the journal. Okay, so that's going to be the Merck Vet Manual, and this time it's in italics. So it's Merck Vet Manual, and then it's back to normal font. Online in squared brackets. So now I've put in my title of the journal in italics and then I've changed back to plain text and we're in online. Then we want a comma followed by the volume number, issue number or date or month of publication if volume and issue are absent, page numbers if any. Okay, so I don't know if we have that information. Let's go back and look. So do we have a volume and issue number? No. Okay, that's alright. Do we have a date? No. Grand. Okay, so what is the next bit of information that the reference has on it? So, if any, we don't have any of that information, so then we're going to go full stop available from. So back to my document, online, available from. Again, I can see now I want to put in a colon, and then we want library database name or URL if accessed online for some other than the library database. I haven't gone through the library website to get this, so I'm going to put in the URL. So I'll go back to my website, click on the page up here, and that gives me the full URL for the article. So I'm going to copy that back here. I'm going to paste that in. So there's the link, and you can see Word knows it's a link, so it changes to hypertext. Then I want to see after the hyperlink what goes in. I have to put in when I accessed it. Okay, and you can see it's again square brackets and plain font. So back to my article, I'll put in today's date. So it's accessed November 14th, 2017. So I mean, now just double check, is that correct? So in this case, they don't have a TH after the 17th. I don't either. There's no comma after the month, so I'll take out that comma. Okay. So I'm happy now that that's the reference formatted correctly in relation to an article I read online from a website. Where people tend to go wrong is instead of putting in Munsterman AS and Vaughan JT as the authors, they're putting in Merck Vet Manual. But remember, the people in Merck are the publishers, but they didn't write the content. It's these two people who actually sat down and wrote the content of the article. So that's who you should reference. So hopefully that'll be helpful to you when it comes to formatting websites that you find online. Another example I'm going to show you briefly is on IVAS. So let's say if you're using the IVAS proceedings, we go into the library, click on proceedings. Let's say I want one from the AEP, first year life, where we have something folding. Here we go. Field techniques for resuscitation of folds. Click on that. Same thing again. The author is going to be listed on the article, so scroll down to the top of the article, and you can see this one is by Nathan M. Slovis. So the reference will start off Slovis, and then N full stop, M full stop, space, and then you're going to open brackets and put in the year that this was published. So you'll find that on the article. You can see this is from 2014. Okay, perfect. Name of the article in plain text is Field Techniques for Resuscitation of Foals. Then you're going to put in your volume issue number, which aren't available for an online proceeding. So instead, you're going to put in the link, which you'll get from clicking on up here, copy and paste that into the work, and then follow it up by square brackets, accessed, and the date of access. So again, people tend to go wrong by listing IVAS as the author, but IVAS are only the publisher. The author's name will be on the article. Okay, so hopefully that'll help you ensure that when you're referencing your online articles, you're accurate in terms of how you're laying them out.